I kind of blocked out the idea of failure as being something that's bad. I always think to myself, if I fail, I can always try again. If I fail, I can try this. If it doesn't work out this way, I can go there. If I can't go through the door, I'll go through the window. Like, I think what happens is that's because I have confidence, it doesn't matter to me.
Welcome back to another episode of The Burn. I could not miss this opportunity. We are just got finished with Habits and Hustle with Jen Cohen, the real Jen Cohen.
Yes, the real Jen Cohen.
This energy was so on fire. I said, we have got to do a Burn episode. So you know how we do this, right? It's not going to be a bunch of the resumes, but I got to share some of this stuff before we talk about Jen's Burn. So she has wrote a book called Badass Body Goals. She's a Forbes columnist. Go find the biggest fitness companies and magazines, always in the top 100, sometimes top 16 in the world for all of her work in the fitness industry. She has the energy, the mind, and I'll tell you this right now. What I want to know, because you talk about the burn, is on Instagram, I saw a video of you waiting for an Uber and you were doing calisthenics in the hotel. I'm like,
wow.
Somebody who's got that kind of energy and fire. I'm telling you, there's no seduction of success. I always talk about the seduction of success. People hear me say that a lot. But for you to have achieved all that you've achieved, and now the Habits and Hustle podcast, I mean, you get the best of the best. Jerry West just pulled off one of the biggest stoopers of all time in terms of professional sports. Everybody's talking about Kawhi going to the Lakers and Kawhi's going here. And all of a sudden, Jerry West is just doing what Jerry West does. And then you get Jerry West. I mean, it's amazing what you are doing. And I know it's that energy is attracting people to say, hey, we got to get in this studio. But what I want to know is, where does that burn come from for you?
Thank you for saying that.
Family's important, and you've got this amazing career. But to do calisthenics every chance that you get and to challenge your listeners and to challenge those that you work with, tell us a little bit about that burn, like where it comes from for you.
Okay, and I want to just say that Ubers can take a while. That's why it's usually a 5 to 10 minute wait, so it might as well be productive in that time. So, that's a good question. I think really what happened for me when I was young, when I was a teenager, I think I'm Jewish, right? And part of our socialization was to eat. We always ate for anything, for any occasion. And when you're eating breakfast, you're thinking about lunch, and then lunch for dinner. And what happened was I started to exercise and take fitness more seriously, only to balance out my crazy appetite. And what happened was when I started to exercise and take it more seriously, what it taught me and what it did for me was way beyond just the physical or, keeping my weight in check. It taught me discipline. It taught me goal setting. It gave me like a self-confidence and a self-assurance that I never thought I could actually gain from fitness. And so what happened was I think I started to transform because I started to feel stronger mentally, like mentally tough is what you always talk about, because of the fact that I started to do the fitness stuff at such a young age. It became very ingrained in me. So when I kind of went through when I kind of started to get older, I already had those building blocks or those fundamental things that kind of started to build upon itself, which was to have excess drive and ambition in everything I do. I mean, the way you do one thing, we said this earlier, is the way you do everything. And that's really what I believe. And fitness was never something I ever intended to do as my career. It was actually, I went to school for psychology. I have a psychology degree. And then I also went to school for business. And I did like a lot of marketing for sports teams. And my first job was with the Toronto Raptors. Oh, wow. And yeah. And then I got poached to go to a record label. But really what happened was when I eventually left those jobs and then went into fitness, it was because that was my passion, because that's where I kind of learned and honed my other skills. And, that's basically what happened.
So I know when we were chatting on your show.
Yeah, 2 seconds ago.
You had talked about this desire to just want more, right? So that moment, because we all have it, where you're like, gosh, this workout's enough. Like, I've done enough. Like, what is it that causes you to keep going? Like, how do you stay connected to that part of you?
I think that what happens actually with me is I'm my own worst enemy and my own worst critic, right? Like there is something inside of me that thinks I can always do more and I can always do better. And that probably came from when I was a kid and when I started the fitness stuff, because like I said, I was such a big eater and I was like gaining weight and I didn't feel comfortable or confident in my skin. That probably still like is in my DNA to some degree, right? Where I still don't feel like I'm maybe good enough, which kind of helps, I guess, propel me to want to succeed even more all the time. And, it becomes like such a the lines become so blurred. I don't know how it happened or why it is the way it is, but I would think that is basically the beginning of why. And there's something, what happens to you as a kid, I guess, is so strong and it's so developmental at that stage. It stays with you no matter how successful you are, no matter how fit you are, no matter how anything is. And I would think that would be, if I was being truthful, that's probably why.
See, and that's the authenticity and vulnerability that I love, because I think there's probably a lot of people listening that they might know what that story is,
right,
but they don't give any power to it. And you found a way in a very positive stance to give power to this mindset where many people use that as an excuse. I'm so hard on myself. I just choose to not go all in.
To not do it, right.
But what has happened, and I think it's really cool, because you'd also shared with me the charitable work that you do here in LA. And just take on more and more and more, is you develop this confidence. And I know, like, we were really hitting that hard in the interview, was how important confidence is. So how important is confidence?
I think the confidence, it's true. I believe that having confidence, or the confidence, is one of the most critical pieces to anybody's success. To know, and for whatever reason, even if I think back to when I was a kid, no matter what, I think with that fitness stuff, it built such confidence. I always felt like I can go after anything I wanted. And I think that not being scared of the word no, not being scared to ask for something. I would always have that, like the same story going in my head, that what's the worst that can happen? Someone says no. What's the worst that can happen? I don't succeed. I kind of blocked out the idea of failure as being something that's bad. I always think to myself, if I fail, I can always try again. If I fail, I can try this. If it doesn't work out this way, I can go there. If I can't go through the door, I'll go through the window. Like, I think what happens is that's because I have confidence. It doesn't matter to me. It kind of it's like water off a duck's ass, or whatever that whatever that statement is, right? And I think because of the fact that I purposefully, intentionally did something at a younger age where it naturally built my own confidence, where I didn't have to, it was validating for me when I saw myself progress in something. So I hope that answers your question.
No, I think it's awesome. And I hear the word relentless, right? It's a relentless mindset that you're going to
relentless. And I think part of it, to be honest, is just I'm born with some form of, I'm very tenacious. I'm extremely relentless. And I think that is another thing also, like that in combination with the confidence is, what it is.
So
me.
You brought out emotion in me talking about my mom.
Right.
And I know that you're a mother as well. And I'm going to get some emotion out of you, because I think, the burn for so many of us comes from the opportunity and the lessons of what our children see.
Right.
So what is it that your kids see in you that they are going to take with them for the rest of their lives? Because many people say to me, oh, you only had 8 years with your mom. I'm like, my mindset, like you talked about, it's formed at such a young age.
Right.
Like, my mom built my mindset. So even though I only had those almost 8 years with her, she built my mindset of how I show up every single day. So what is it that your kids, what's that?
That's a good
that
question.
big lesson that your kids are gonna remember?
I think what you just said it, actually. I think showing up, I think a few things. What my kids see is work ethic. That my work, I work really hard, but I also play really hard. But no matter what, they always come first. And I think, like you were saying about your mom, I'm very intentional about, no matter what is going on in my world, professionally or otherwise, when I see my kids walk in that door, if I'm working, I will stop everything for them, and I will shower them with like affection and love. I'll make sure I tell my kids 30 times a day how much I love them and how special they are and how important they are. And also I think you are an example. You lead by example. So what I do all the time with my kids, besides doing that just on my own, what they see is how you treat other people. Be kind to other people. Do everything you do also with 100% effort. And so like I joke around with my 6-year-old boy. I tell him that I'm a superhero. So I wear like a Wonder Woman necklace. And so I think I tell him enough times, he actually is going to believe it. But I say because superheroes aren't just someone who flies around like Superman, but they're people who help everybody and try really hard and do everything they try their best with everything. So I mean, I hope that stays with them later on in life.
I'm sure that it will, and I can be a testament that I know
thank you.
that the things of a mother, they do stick. And what also will stick with everybody that follows you is that energy and that passion and that fire and that burn that lies inside of you. So I appreciate your work so much. This has been a hell of a day out here in LA. So thanks for coming on our show as well.
I really appreciate this. Thank you for coming on my show. Yeah.